Hey sports fans, I wanted to do the end of the year book tag. You're supposed to start it kind of more like in October, entering into the last quarter of the year. It's almost December, so I think that ship has really sailed for me. But I still wanted to do like a version of the tag. I decided to use the questions from that book tag as kind of a template or a jumping off point to sort of rework the questions and add in my own. And it's really kind of like a dead end, 4 weeks left in the year book tag. I invite anybody who's even a little bit interested to answer these questions, whichever ones you want to answer. Whether you do that down in the comments or in a video, tag me in it. I'd love to see it. So I'm just gonna jump in and get started. I have my handy dandy tablet here. Question number 1 is, did you have a reading goal for this year? Did you hit it? If you didn't hit it yet, do you anticipate to hit it before the end of the year? I did have a reading goal and it was super duper simple. It was average 2 books a month. I wanted to read 24 books and I did. I have currently, at the time of filming this, I have read 26, I think. So I just hit my goal, which is fine by me. I like to set attainable goals. I know myself. I know that I drop the ball on things all the time. So 24, I hit it. I'm satisfied. Question number 2 is, did you have any DNFs this year and what were they? I don't think that I did. I don't think I had any legitimate DNFs. And what I mean by that is a book that I was not enjoying, so I stopped reading it and I have no intention of ever finishing it. If it's something that I started and haven't finished yet, but I want to finish, I don't really consider that a DNF. A DNF to me is something that I'm never going to read this book. And I don't think I had any of those this year. I usually have at least one a year where I'm reading it and I'm like, oof, this is just stinky and I'm never going to finish it. So I think I'm really racking my brain and I looked through like my Goodreads and I think that I didn't have any, which is pretty awesome. So question number 3, is there anything that you put down this year that you would like to pick up and finish? And the answer for that is yes. I picked up The Watchers by A.M. Shine. It's not that I disliked this at all. I think I just wasn't in the right mood for it. I would really like to finish it. I was enjoying it. I stopped about 90 pages in. I'm terrible about leaving bookmarks in books, but I want to finish this. It is interesting. I was enjoying it. I felt like I was really dragging my feet to read this and I didn't want to force myself through something. So I might just put this off until next spooky season. The other book that I put down this year and never picked back up again, but I really, really, really want to, is The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. Come on, Maui. Come on. Come on, Maui. You can come in. My goodness gracious. One of the cats is in here just being a menace. So what had happened was I started reading a lot on my Kindle when my daughter was a newborn because I was up at all hours of the night with her and I wanted to do something that wasn't going to be distracting to her and keep her awake, something that was quiet and low light and not a lot of blue light. So I wasn't looking at my phone, I wasn't watching TV, I was reading on my Kindle. And I did read a lot on my Kindle. I read the entire Farseer trilogy. So my Kindle was doing some heavy lifting. But as she got older and she started sleeping longer and sleeping through the night, I was reaching for my Kindle less and less. And that is actually the only reason that I have not continued with the Live Ship Traders series. I love the Farseer trilogy. I love Ship of Magic and I was really loving the Mad Ship. Like I said, I just don't reach for my Kindle that often. I only really reach for it if I'm awake late at night and I don't want to wake anybody up, or if I'm like getting my oil changed. I need to start working in reading on my Kindle because I have a ton of books on here that are unread. Listen, we don't need to talk about that. The point that I'm getting at is I don't want to buy a second copy of a book that I already have on my Kindle unless I think it's something I'm going to reread over and over, or I want like a trophy for my shelf. So that is the only reason. That is my very long-winded explanation of why I haven't finished The Mad Ship, but I really want to. I really, really like Robin Hobb's writing. I want to read all of her Realm of the Elderlings. I think that the Farseer trilogy was fantastic. It was so, so good. One of my favorites of the year for sure. Actually, I think I read it last year. Anyway, I do want to get to this. I am going to finish this. It just might take me longer than I'd like. Question number 4 is, are there any books that you wanted to read this year, but you changed your mind and you just kind of put them on the back burner and you're maybe even questioning if you still want to read them? I have a couple. The first of which is Tender is the Flesh. I picked this up because it sounded like a weird, creepy, scary dystopian horror. I still think that that is the case with this, but I've heard a lot of really negative things about this book, that there are things that are just there to be disgusting and to make you like really not like what's happening or the characters. I like to be a little bit scared, but I don't like things that are nasty just to be nasty. Like, that's not my vibe. I'm not here for that. I've kind of gone back and forth on whether I still want to read this or not. I think that it might be worth reading, but I am a little bit hesitant because of some of the things that other people have said. This is amazing. Oh, buddy. Just go lay down. Oh my gosh. Come on, sweetie. Go lay down. Go, go, go. Oh, yeah, I know. Go on. Here, lay down with your stinky brother. Little stinky boys. So I have 2 more books that I kind of got a wild hair and I thought I really wanted to read them. And then I got them in my hands and I was like, I don't think I want to read these. I should explain myself. These are both romance novels, kind of like modern pop culture romance. And I don't know that I've ever read any modern, like straight popular romance before. And I felt like I was in the mood for something just like cute and fun and carefree, just a sweet little love story. So I picked up The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren, and I picked up Funny Story by Emily Henry. And I know that Emily Henry is like really popular. She has a bajillion books. But then I had them both in my hands and I just kept not picking them up. And I kept feeling like, why did I even get these? I don't really read this kind of book. If anything, when I want like a sappy, cheesy romance, I'll just watch a movie because it's only 2 hours of my life. This is going to be a couple of days of my life, you know? So I have them and I feel like I should read them because I took the time to pick them out. I spent my money on them. They're in my home. I should just read them. And I think if I don't read them by like middle of next year, then I'm probably not going to, and I'll just rehome them. Question number 5 is, were there any books that you just really weren't interested in, but you picked it up anyway, took a chance, and ended up loving it or got like really excited about it? For me, the answer is yes. And that book was Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. This was amazing. I was absolutely floored at how much I loved this. This is a 5-star read for me. I thought it was great. I loved how it was written. I loved the characters. The things that are happening in this world are important, but I feel like it is really the characters who drove this story home for me. I think that I'm a character reader, so I like to identify with a character. I like to root for them and support them. I cried. I had actual, like, not a lot, like 3 maybe tiny tears snuck their way out of my eyes, but they were still tears. I cried. I thought that this was really intense when it needed to be intense. It was really lighthearted when it needed to be lighthearted. This book has a lot to say about a lot of aspects of our modern and historic culture. I really enjoyed it. The thing is, it was not on my radar at all. I had seen the cover and the sprayed edges, and I said to myself, Self, You do not need another romantasy to sit on your shelf and not be read. So I just passed it up. I thought that this was going to be another, I don't know, I can't think of any romantasies off the top of my head. Um, Dragon's Fourth Wing. Fourth Wing, yes. I thought this was going to be another like Fourth Wing situation where it's just kind of a teen angst, romantic entanglements with dragons in the backdrop. And that is not what this is at all. Anyway, I'm going on and on. I loved this. I thought it was so, 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 so good. And I had no idea. I was not planning to pick this up at all until I was hearing people talk about how great it was. And I'm so glad that I did. Question number 6. What is one book that in these last few weeks you absolutely have to finish before the end of the year? I think that mine is pretty obvious. It is The Will of the Many by James Islington. This is a chonker, so it's going to take me a minute, but I have to finish this. I absolutely must read this before the end of the year. I'm currently reading something else, but this is what I'm going to pick up next. I'm so excited to read it. I love James Islington. I love Red Rising. So let's combine an author I love with kind of a story type that I love, and hopefully I will end up really enjoying this. I know that there are some mixed feelings about The Will of the Many. I had such a good time with the Lycanius trilogy that I am pretty confident that I'm going to love this. Question number 7 is, what was your biggest surprise book of the year? I picked 3 positives. The first was Blood Over Brighthaven, just a delightful surprise for a book that wasn't on my radar that ended up being just probably one of my favorite standalones right now. But also, I thought that Piranesi by Susanna Clarke was such a pleasant surprise. I didn't really know what to expect with this, but all I knew is that a lot of people that I listened to said that they didn't like the twist or the reveal at the end. I thought the reveal was fine. I didn't really have any problems with it. I think that it made sense, kind of, as much as this book can make sense. This was a delightful surprise. I read it in like a day and a half. I really, really enjoyed it. This just has a delightful main character that we follow, and I love really getting in deep with a character. So if you were character driven, you might want to check this out. I really enjoyed it. Another big surprise for me was The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I really, really, really enjoyed this, and I kind of want to read it again so that I can look at it with fresh eyes, understanding a little bit more. I don't read a lot of like literature because I'm stupid, and I often feel like I'm too dumb for literature. And I also sometimes feel like classic literature can be work to read. Like I feel like I'm supposed to be analyzing it so that I can write an essay. I've written a lot of essays on books in my life, and I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to read and enjoy them. So picking up a classic that I actually had like all the wrong ideas about, and then being pleasantly surprised with a very short little story that was incredibly satisfying to read was just the most pleasant surprise. Question number 8. What was your biggest letdown of the year? Maybe something you were super hyped for that was just stinky poo-poo. For me, that was The Death of Jane Lawrence by Caitlin Starling. I was excited to read this. It sounds like it would be right up my alley. And for most of the book, it was. I did enjoy a lot of what was happening in this book, but I just truly, truly hate the ending. I think that the ending completely ruins the book. It made me very, very frustrated that I had spent a lot of time in here in this little world. I just did not enjoy. I was so let down. And I think on top of that, it wasn't really scary at all. In my experience, a lot of Gothic novels aren't that scary, but most of them have some scenes that like absolutely have me shaking in my boots. This did not. It started to, and then it like starts to give you a little bit to be afraid of, and then it just kind of like disappears that and replaces it with Jane's deep yearning for the doctor. I just didn't like it. It was not a good time for me, and I was really disappointed by this. Number 9, What is a 2026 new release that you're really looking forward to? The only new release that I have seen that like stuck in my mind is Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence. I really, really loved the Book of the Ancestors series. It's great. It's such a fun time. And I really liked the Book of the Ice series, which is also a really fun time. However, I hated Prince of Thorns. It is the weirdest, like, prepubescent boy, angsty edgelord fantasy that I've ever read. I barely made it through. That book was awful. I hated it so much and I could not continue the series. And it really surprised me because the books that I've read by Mark Lawrence that feature female characters, female main characters, are really good. They're such a fun time. But Prince of Thorns series was like stinky. Anyway, who cares? Mark Lawrence has a new book coming out next year, and it is called Daughter of Crows. Now, this story, if I'm remembering correctly, is about a woman who sold herself to this school that is it's run by the fates, like the kindly ones, and I think they take 100 girls and only 3 come out alive. Our main character is one of the 3, and she's an adult now who is trying to live like after the fact. She's trying to just live, okay? She's done with all of the crap that she did in her youth. And something happens, I think, like war comes knocking at her door and she is thrust back into things. Mark Lawrence usually writes young adult, I think. He deals with a lot of really dark topics, but there's no like explicit sexual content. So I wouldn't say it's new adult, but it is maybe a more mature young adult that he normally writes. So I'm interested to read something of his that features an adult female main character. I like the way that he writes. I think the world that he has created is so interesting and so kind of unique. I am very excited to read that next year. Last but not least, question number 10. Do you have any specific reading plans or goals going into 2026? And I do. I would like to set myself the same number of books read goal, just 24. I think that 2 books a month is completely reasonable and attainable for me. So that's what I like to set my goal as. But I'd like to set some smaller goals as well, some sub goals, if you will. I would like to read more classics. So I would like to start fitting in maybe one per quarter. Just one classic. I've got a bunch of Jane Austen on my list. I've got Wuthering Heights on my list. I've got Dracula on my list. Because listen, I read enough of Dracula to write the essay and then I never looked back, but I really want to give it a chance because I read Carmilla years ago and I really liked it. So I think, now in my 30s, I might enjoy the books I was supposed to read as a teenager. So I have all of these classics on my list that I really want to read. Oh, I also have The Stranger by Albert Camus. I really want to read that. So classics are a sub goal for me. I'd also, and this one might be a little bit silly, I would also like to keep up with what is being published a little bit more. I'd like to read new releases when they're still new. I'm usually very behind the trends. I'm usually very slow to get to what everybody else is reading. Like, The Strength of the Few just came out, and I haven't read The Will of the Many. It's one of the most popular fantasy books coming out right now, and I have yet to read it. So I just feel like I'm really behind on what's popular, what's coming out right now. I don't want to read every single new release because like I'm just not living that kind of lifestyle, but I would like to start reading some things when they're new, not 5 years later. My goals might sound a little bit silly. I'd like to read things that are really old and I'd like to read things that are really new. And I think that's really it for like my goals and my plans going forward. I don't have like long-term pre-planned TBR. I kind of look at what I have and pick things out for like the next month or two, and then I read those or I don't. That's that's kind of how my like TBRs work. I would like for them to be a little bit more structured. I'm thinking about either doing 6 sections of 2 months each, so like setting a TBR for January, February, reading those, recapping them, and then setting a TBR for March, April, and so on and so forth. Or doing quarterly. So I would set a TBR for January, February, March, then recap, and then set a new one for April, May, June. I think that giving myself a TBR for 3 months might be too much, like, might be asking too much of my little mood reader self. But I do want to work in some kind of structure with how I read because I do want to keep reading more. I want to keep reading more critically, and I want to keep reading outside of my comfort zone. And I think giving myself a little bit more structure, a little bit more of a box is going to help me reach those goals. That was it for my end of the year book tag. I will try to put the questions down in the description. And like I said, I really want other people to do this and have fun with it and just talk about what you're reading and maybe give me some ideas. Make it your own, answer what you want, change the questions if you want, but tag me in it so I can check that out.